leadership is actually about building and understanding a team. And fascinatingly, the most interesting piece of research on what makes it possible for senior people to become a top chief exec or whatever was done in America about 20 years ago. And they were looking to see if they had any common characteristic. And the only common characteristic they found amongst these senior leading people was actually the capacity to enjoy team sports. Not necessarily to be good at it, but to enjoy being part of a team with all the strengths and weaknesses of that. So for me, that's actually what good leadership is all about. I think for me, setting up Tourism for All was probably the thing I'm most proud of. I did a report on how the tourist industry could be accessible for people with disabilities. And we then established the Tourism for All standards, which were picked up in Europe. They were based largely on the Canadian standards, which are particularly good. We produced leaflets, we produced booklets, we introduced an inspected scheme, and Tourism for All is still a phrase and an understanding that people have about accessible tourism. I think for most people, women in particular, one of the great challenges is trying to balance your work life with your family life. And for me, my family has always been hugely important. And you have to give up something. You can get through everything, but not necessarily at the same time. So what I probably did have to give up was friendships and social contacts, because I wanted, when I came back from work, to be there with my children. And that's one of the reasons I gave up teaching, because I taught for 7 or 8 years, was because you're giving out all the time to children. It's actually quite hard then to come back and feel equally involved with your own kids. But so what? That's what we all have to do. We all have to come to a different balance, a different compromise. And if you're talking about success, well, all I've ever really done in the later half of my life was the non-executive role. And that's pretty good, but it takes a long time to achieve things. It's not like being a senior executive when you can say, do this, and it gets done. It's like a word here, a word there, a bit of discussion here, a quid pro quo there, and things start to happen. And you can look back at that point on the things that over many years you may feel you've achieved. Basically, I like getting things done. I'm not very good at small talk, but nonetheless, I suppose you do calm down a little bit, go a little bit more gently over time. For young women, keep at it, persevere. Remember that butterfly up there can be you.